everyone, welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and today we are going to talk about an animation walk cycle. So, what I did was just to save us some time, just because, like I said, the animation process can take some time. So, we are going to do some drawing with, um, but I also want to make sure that we have enough time to discuss everything. So, first thing you want to make sure you do is you go to File, go to New Flipbook, New Empty Flipbook. Once you pick that, just leave the settings the same except change it to 26 frames or just 25. I like just leaving that extra frame just because. Um, and the first thing you want to do is you want to set up your walk cycle, and then with just the keyframes. And then what that allows you to do is to just go back and fill in the in-betweens, okay? So the first thing you want to do is just go to frame 1. Okay, we're going to start with a contact pose. So that's where the foot is making contact with the ground. Okay, so a good simple trick to just keep track of which arm is on the far side is if you just kind of fill it in black. Okay, so it doesn't have to be anything special unless you're wanting to draw a character that way. But I would say just practice with this kind of a stickman thing first. So you're going to draw your contact pose. Once you do that, you're going to duplicate that, and you're going to move that down to frame 13. Okay, let me turn these phases off. And I'm just going to fill that in while I'm talking. Once you get down to frame 13, you essentially just have the same setup. So it's the same two frames, it's just in between another walking step. Okay. Then what you want to do is go back to frame 4, and you want to get him in the down position. So this is after the foot has made contact and he's kind of scrunching down. So if you look at the difference between the two, I've kind of dropped the head a little bit, so it's got a little bit more absorption and a squish effect to it. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. It's just you're moving the arms slightly to a different position, and then they're squishing themselves down. And then all you have to do when you're done is duplicate that again, and then you're going to move that out to frame 16. So again, it's the same as frame 4, it's just a duplicate. So this will help speed up time for you. Okay, and then you want to get into the passing pose. That's where your legs pass by each other, right? So it's more of a straight up and down. You're going to raise yourself back up to the normal height. Okay, your leg's going to be down here with your arm getting ready to pass forward from the far side, the black arm, and then the white leg is about to come through. Okay, so once you've drawn that, you're going to duplicate that again, and you're going to put that on frame 19. So now you got two of the same frames from 7 to 19. All right, so we have two more keyframes to put up. So you want to go to frame 10. Okay, and this is going to be our up position. So what this is after this foot has passed through and made contact with the ground, it's kind of starting to push up in the air. So your head is going to raise up, and it's going to be a little bit taller, so you can see how it goes up from that position. Okay, again, just fill in your arms and make sure that way you know which one's which, and you're just going to duplicate that, and you're going to slide that down to frame 22. Okay, so now you have another duplicate in that position, and then our last keyframe pose is just going to be on frame 25 because we want the cycle to end the same way it began. So we have this foot making contact with the ground, but now our opposite foot is making contact with the ground this way. Okay, there's no duplicating of this one, so once you draw it in, you can raise your head down just back to the normal level again. Okay, so let's see what it looks like with just our keyframing in there. Okay, so it looks like a normal walk, but we're missing something. You can see it's kind of jolty, glitchy looking thing. I don't mind the head shaping stuff. That's just because I'm not drawing a perfect circle each time. Um, but the reason why it's jolty is because we haven't filled in the in-betweens. Okay, so this is the part that I will do with you. The first thing you want to do is when you come to frame 1, you're going to come to frame 2 and add a new keyframe. We're going to go back and we're going to turn on our keyframe, and we want to get in between these 2 points. So if I turn this off right here, that's my first point, and then my foot is coming down. So there's not going to be a whole lot of difference of what's coming down in between. The only difference is the size of our head. So we want to kind of get in between here and start drawing our body out. So that can kind of somewhat stay the same. Okay, our shoulder, we can just kind of get in between there. Make a little bit longer there. And then we just kind of put our hand in place. And then for our leg, you can see the difference is between, if I turn this off, you can see the foot is raised a little bit more. So our leg's going to kind of be in the same place. Okay, and once that's there, all you have to do is just kind of come down where your foot is and just kind of raise it a little bit. Then we're going to take our front leg and just turn a little bit here. Okay, and then where our foot was making contact with the ground, we're now going to have it kind of halfway in between. Same thing with our arm here. We're just going to kind of come in between the arm. Okay, and I can just take a paint bucket and fill in those spots. Okay, now with that, we can make our lives easier too, is by, if we look, because that's our frame 1 to frame 13, right? So I can just take that again and duplicate that and move that down to 14, right? So just by adding that in, we're starting to get a little bit better flow from one point to the other, just looking like there's movement on there. Okay, so now we're going to come to frame 3. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to add a new keyframe, right? We have our positioning here is now made up of frame 2 and the next step in frame 4. Okay, so my head's going to be in about the same general region. Draw my neck out and my body. Draw my pants about the same area. Okay, I can take my leg out and bend it down even more, just slightly in between. And then this one is going to be almost touching the ground. Our arm's going to come back the same. Bring our circle in. And our foot right there. Okay, I can just take my paint bucket, fill in those marks. And then again, I can just duplicate, move that to 15, and then make sure you take that frame 5 back to frame 4. Okay, so again, we can take a look at it. We got a little bit of a better flow, but you can see where it's still skipping right here and here because we don't have those frames filled in. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to come from frame 4 to frame 7. Okay, we want to build up those in-betweens on that from our contact pose from where he's in the down position to our passing pose. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to turn those two on. We're going to come to this keyframe here. I'm going to add a new keyframe. Okay, so we want to fill in between that point to this point. Okay, so since we're kind of in the down position to start with, that's lower head, all I have to do is just come in between. Okay, draw my neck out into my body. You can always check to make sure, see which one's where. So we need to kind of drop the arm down. And then we bring our stomach, build in our back. Okay, so we can check again. We want our leg to pass from here to here. So we want our leg to kind of start coming a little bit more straight and come back. So our foot will just come back just a little bit. Kind of thicken it up just a little bit. Alright, same thing. We're coming up to a pass. So this leg is now swinging forward. Alright, so this one's going to slightly shift. And it's going to start picking up off the ground. So it's going to have a little bit more of a bend to it. And our foot's going to be kind of dragging. Same thing with our arm. If we look and check, it's swinging forward. So we want it to kind of start swinging down. And again, I can just take my paint bucket and fill those in, and we forgot the hand right here. Okay, so again, I can just take that and duplicate it. And we want to swing, since it's passing, we want to swing that ahead of our frame 7. Let me go back. Sorry, I kind of lost my place there. 4, 5, so we want to duplicate that. We went from 4 to 16, so let's duplicate and move it to 17. Alright, there we go. So again, we can play. You can see how it's starting to flow, right? We got a nice even swing going, but then when we get to the skipping parts, that's where it starts jumping again. Okay, so now I want to come to frame 6 here. We're going to add, just like that. Okay, and we're just going to utilize the frames between 5 and 7. Okay, so again, we can check and see where we're at. We're kind of coming up to our passing point still. So we want to come in here. I'm going to draw our body, and again, I'm going to take my arm to be in between these 2 points, hence again why it's called an in-between. Bring my body down. So you can see how this would be time consuming using, actual character details and drawing. So again, I hope it gives you a little bit more respect for animators. Okay, so that's our back frame. And we want our leg to be swinging forward. So we're going to bring our knee down just a little bit more. Okay, and same thing with our back leg. We want it to be eventually going down. So this is going to be really close to this leg. Their foot on the ground. And same thing with our arm. We're going to want to bring that down right in here. Okay, so we can fill that in just like that. Again, we went from our frame 4 to frame 7, right? So we want to take that to frame 18. So we're going to duplicate, move that out to 18, and make sure you take your frame 8 back to 7. Okay. So again, we can play it, see how it looks. Got a nice little swing going. And we're about halfway down. We just got 2 more sets of in-betweens to do. And we'll be all finished. Now, our next set of frames, we have the passing frame. We have the passing frame to the up frame. Okay. So we're going to come in here, we're going to add a new frame, and we'll turn our references on. So we have this new frame. And we want to kind of start moving up, right? So we want to get to this point. Go back a step. Yeah, I accidentally duplicated. Make sure you hit the add a new keyframe. Okay, so we have ourselves from here at the bottom lowest point. So we want to kind of come in between. Draw our body out. So again, we want our arms to end up from here to here. So all we have to do is just come in between. Okay, finish drawing my body down, neck, shoulders. Okay, and then our leg is going to end up being forward. So we're passing in between the two. So all we're going to do is come in between here and give a little bit of a space. And our foot is going to be closer to raising. Okay, again, we turn that off. We can see our arm passing through the back. And then eventually our leg comes out to here. So again, we want to kind of get close to the same difference. Okay, and that's swinging up from here, so we want to kind of draw a little bit down here. We'll take our paint bucket, fill those in, and since that one, going from the passing, we went to 19, so we want to duplicate that, slide it down to frame 20. Okay, so again, we can play and we can see how it's starting to look a lot smoother, right? Except for the part where it's skipping. Starting to look a little bit more natural, right? But I'm going to come to frame 9. I'm going to add a new frame. Okay, turn this on. So again, it's just another subtle movement from one point to another. We're starting to go up higher. Okay, so if we turn that off, we see where our head is higher at. Again, we want to just go in between. Bring our neck down to our body, and to our arm, right? So we want it to swing forward. So again, we're kind of going in between that point, just to make it a little bit smoother. Same thing here, our leg is moving forward, right? So we want to go in between those 2 points. And our foot is going to begin to look just like our other one. Yeah, it doesn't have to be nothing beautiful when you're drawing this. Okay, so you see how our leg's starting to spread out, right? Coming to that point. So we're just going to give it a little bit of a difference back. Foot's going to be slightly forward. And same thing with our arm. It is starting to come up. So we can take our paint bucket, fill those in. And now we have ourselves in that position. Now again, we went to frame 20 with the last duplication. So we want to duplicate, send that frame 21, and then make sure you send frame 11 back. Okay, so now we're almost getting there. Starting to have a nice little flow going. Alright, so we just have these in-betweens left to do. So we got frame, frame 10, and frame 13. Let's turn this off. So we go from our up position to our next contact position. Okay, so we have to fill in all of that area. So we're going to add, turn these on. Okay, so we're going from here. So if we turn off that last step, you can see we're kind of starting to squish down, right? So we want to go, so you're back on your brush, want to go in between that point, come down to the body. Let's see where our arms are. Swinging from here to here. So we have a big gap. So it should be easy to fill in. So we're just going to swing from here. Like that. Draw ourselves a little fist. Again, we can turn that off. And our leg is going to be going forward now. This back black leg. We want that going forward. So we can bring that back. If we turn that off and see. So we want to kind of come in between. Have our leg down. Okay, again. And then our forward leg needs to come in between this point. It might be a little too forward. Let's come out and bend a little bit here. And we can erase out these lines like that. It's starting to swing back. A little lift on the foot. Okay, and this is why it becomes important to have the black and the white on there. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Let's just go ahead, just so we don't get confused. fill those in right there. Okay, so our arm is swinging forward that way, and then it's swinging back the other way. So we can have the tiniest bit coming out right here. Okay, and then again we want to duplicate that and take that out to 23. Okay. So you can see how the framing's a little bit smoother. So if we turn these off, we can look at each frame. Person stepping forward. Ooh, we forgot an arm in there. Not sure how that happened. Let's draw that in. That's why it's always good to go through and kind of check your work. Okay, so our steps coming down, picking up, walking through, so let's see, we're coming up, and that leg should be swinging forward. Up. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out legs walking back. We're bringing our leg forward. 11. So we're going to be switching these out. Okay, so on frame 13, should actually be this way. Like that. And then that should be our back leg. One, two, three, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So once that goes from there, 13, 12. So our arm here on frame 13 should be the opposite. So let's take that out. Fill that one in. Coming through, we got our swing and we're just checking. Swing through. So I think what we did wrong here is it should be, again, the other way. So all you have to do is just erase out. And we can just connect that there. Go back that way. And we can just take our paint bucket, fill in the back leg. So let's see. There we go. So that's better. Okay. So now we want to get our final frame, and I'm sorry about that. That took a while. That's why I color in the back like that, because we want to make sure that everything is going in the right direction. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is, if we turn off the backlight, we're going to come down into that down contact, right? So we're going to come in a little bit lower with our head, come down with our body here, just a little bit. So let's get our leg swinging forward. Probably need to bend that knee a little bit. I'm going to come up, bend, go back, have that start to make contact. Okay, so again, we want to come out from here, our arm swinging. So it's going to be nice in between right there. And have that with the back. Okay, and then our back leg is starting to swing out. So I'm going to have that. Start to go that way. And then for our arm, I'm going to have that swing out right here. Okay, so we fill in those. So that was frame 12. So let's go through and check. We got a contact coming down. We're walking through. Coming out. 13 to 14. So we need to opposite this. So that's an easy fix. We can just take and round it that way. And we can fill that in. Okay. So again, we come out. And we'll just draw this down. And we'll erase that out. Place that in there. Then all we have to do is just kind of come in here with our shoulder. erase that out. So that's all we're going to be doing with these duplicated parts. You can see I forgot an arm in there as well. So let's take that here. So all those duplicated parts, all we're doing is we're just now swapping them. With the opposite leg and arm, right? So see how we're black back here? So this should be black here. Which means that this part here should be open to the front. And our back leg here. So we're coming out, switching to 16. Again, we're going to have this closed off. So we'll just erase that out. And again, in the long scheme, the duplicating of it did save us time. We're still not drawing it. We're just readjusting what we had, which takes a lot less time. So we'll fill that in there. And then draw that shoulder out. And just erase. Okay, and then I can paint bucket fill. That foot wasn't closed. Okay. So we can see it starting to get better. So again, we just make those small adjustments. Erase the foot out, and again, it doesn't have to look pretty. I'm just trying to get it to do a walk. Okay, so again, we'll cut this arm off. And fill those in. And then just erase out the hand and arm. Okay, next frame, same deal. I'm going to take our leg here, and we'll just erase that out. Down here to the foot. Again, we'll draw the body down. Erase the arm. Fill in. Draw that arm in. Erase out the hand. Okay, and then we'll just continue on. Right? Let's go back and fill in that foot though. Next one is good. Okay, So if we watch, got a better adjustment. Okay, so if we come back, we can watch our steps. Our leg is swinging forward, and that's where the change is. On frame 20, we want this to be our open leg. Okay, and this will be our back leg. If we go back, we can see that our arm should be swinging forward, so this should be my open arm. And then we can just draw the body where our leg is. And we have that. And then again, we're just going to switch and rotate, right? So if we come from 15, we can see that white leg is moving back. So on 20 with it down. This leg here, go back to my paintbrush. That should be connecting there. And then we take our paint bucket, fill that in. This is now our arm here. Just erase that out. And we have our back there. So I'm just going to clean up inside just a little bit. And then we're just going to fill in that arm there. Okay. Now we have the same problem. So we're going to come back in and fix. Connect this arm. I kind of have a bend to it. And we can just erase out that back arm. We can see ourselves a white leg is moving back. So that becomes our white. So you could have chosen either way. You could just go in and hand draw and fix. Okay, so we're starting to get there. So again, our white leg is the thing we're focusing on. It's moving backwards. So right here to right here, right? So if we go to our first frame, our white leg is back. Right, so this should be, I'm going to go ahead and fix this frame. It'll make it a lot easier for us. Again, you can straighten up some of these lines and get done with it. Okay, same thing with this here. Little elbow bend. Close that off. Now we have them swapped. Okay. A nice little swing going here. So we go from there, frame 23. It's going back. So then on frame 24, and just add that keyframe in there. And we can use this to kind of help us. So let's turn this back on. Just going to kind of go in between here. Draw our neck down. We want our body to start swinging forward. So we're going to have our arm right here. Have that come down. Our leg is coming back. So we're going to have a slight in between here. Our foot starting to stretch that way. Okay, same thing with our leg. We're now going to take this, have that slight bend there. And we want the foot to kind of begin to be moving forward. And then with the arm, we can have it peeking a little bit here. So we can fill those in. And that should do it. So now we have ourselves a nice little walk going. Okay. Now this is just a very rough animation walk cycle. Again, we can go through the frames to check our work and make sure that everything is moving how it should, right? So let's focus on our white leg. Our white leg moves forward, starts to swing as our black arm moves forward as well. So we have a little in-between problem here. So let's fix this foot. This leg, if you look at it, should actually be in between here. So that means we can make this one a little bit bigger. So again, our arm swings through. So this one here, should be swinging up. Again, just small adjustments. Going through. Starting to raise. And swinging back. Like here to here. See how the arm is swinging forward. And then jumps back. So what we should have our arm right here like this. So, and this is just part of animation process. I'm sure if you've gotten confused, I mean, you get the general gist of it. It's just very time consuming. You really just got to get the hang of it. So back leg is fine. So let's turn that up. And then our arm should be starting to swing out. And then let's take this one on frame 24. And we'll go more in between. Fill that in. There we go. Much better. Okay. So again, it's a little wobbly and stuff just because we didn't stay even the whole way through. But you got yourself a nice little walk cycle going. Okay. Now, practice is what's going to make it better. So just following this one video once isn't going to make you a master of animation. But I just wanted to kind of show you how complicated the process is. You know, and if you want, and you want to see it, you want to be able to play it back for your friends, you can just go to File, and say Export Flipbook, and change that to MP4 or an MOV, depending if you're on a PC or Mac. Okay, and I just click Export, and I'm just going to call it Walk. Hit Save. And then once you just killed my computer, but yep, you can go in there, go to View, set it on a loop, and you can watch your little walk cycle go. Okay. Anyway, I know it was a little bit of time, and that's fine. I hope you learned something. If you want to see more animation videos, but you want them to be more detailed, let me know down in the comments. Like I said, it's a very time-consuming process, and I would really like to make these videos, but if people aren't really going to show that much interest in it, I may just save those for like time-lapse videos or something. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Keep sketching. Bye.